First contact, a clash of cultures. The sleek, silvery hull of the starship Horizon gleamed in the light of an alien sun as it approached the verdant world of Terralux. Captain Elena Reyes stood on the bridge, her dark eyes fixed on the swirling green and blue orb that filled the view screen. After months of travel through the cold emptiness of space, they had finally arrived at their destination, the homeworld of an advanced alien civilization known as the Luminari. Final approach, Captain, announced Lieutenant Jackson Chen from the helm station. We're receiving docking coordinates from Terralux Control. Elena nodded, a mix of excitement and apprehension churning in her stomach. This was humanity's first official diplomatic mission to an alien world, and the weight of responsibility pressed heavily on her shoulders. Take us in, Lieutenant. Nice and easy. As the horizon descended through wispy lavender clouds, the true magnificence of Terralux revealed itself. Gleaming spires of crystal and metal stretched towards the sky, interconnected by graceful arches that seemed to defy gravity. Vehicles of impossible shapes darted between the structures, leaving trails of soft light in their wake. "It's beautiful," whispered Dr. Amelia Okafor, the mission's lead xenobiologist. Her dark skin contrasted with the white of her knuckles as she gripped the edge of a console, leaning forward to take in every detail. "Let's hope they're as welcoming as that architecture," muttered Security Chief Marcus Tanaka, his stocky frame tense as he scanned the surroundings for any potential threats. The horizon touched down with barely a tremor on a circular landing pad jutting out from one of the tallest structures. As the engines powered down, Elena took a deep breath, squaring her shoulders. "All right, people, this is what we've trained for. Let's make Earth proud." The airlock hissed open, and Elena led her small team out onto Terralux soil. The air was thick with the scent of unfamiliar flora, tinged with an almost electrical undertone. A delegation of Luminari stood waiting, their tall, willowy forms draped in shimmering robes that seemed to change color with each movement. Elena stepped forward, raising her hand in the universal gesture of peace. "Greetings, people of Terralux. I am Captain Elena Reyes of the Earth ship Horizon. We come in friendship and with hopes of fostering understanding between our peoples." The lead Luminari, distinguished by an intricate headdress, regarded Elena with large, almond-shaped eyes that shimmered like liquid silver. When it spoke, the words seemed to form directly in Elena's mind, bypassing her ears entirely. "We acknowledge your arrival, humans of Earth." The alien's mental voice was cool and detached. "I am High Counselor Zarek. Your presence here is unexpected." Elena frowned slightly at the less than warm welcome. "Unexpected. But surely you received our transmissions. We've been communicating for months to arrange this meeting." Zarek's head tilted slightly and gestured eerily reminiscent of a bird of prey. "We received your crude attempts at communication, yes. However, we did not anticipate that such a primitive species would actually manage interstellar travel." A ripple of unease passed through the human delegation. Dr. Okafor stepped forward, her scientific curiosity overriding her initial awe. "Primitive? I assure you, Counselor, while our technology may differ from yours, humanity has made great strides in science and culture. We have much to offer in an exchange of knowledge." The High Counselor's gaze swept over the humans, and Elena felt as though she were being dissected under a microscope. Perhaps Zarek conceded, though the tone suggested deep skepticism. "You will be escorted to quarters where you may rest and prepare for a formal audience with the full council. There, we shall determine if your species is worthy of further interaction with the Luminari." As the alien delegation turned and glided away, Elena exchanged worried glances with her team. This was not the warm welcome they had hoped for, but rather a cool assessment that left them feeling distinctly inferior. "Well," Marcus growled under his breath, "so much for making friends with the neighbors." Elena shook her head, determination setting her jaw. "This is just the beginning, people. We've got a lot of work ahead of us if we're going to change their minds about humanity." As they followed their Luminari escorts into the towering structure, Elena couldn't shake the feeling that they were walking into a situation far more complex and potentially dangerous than they had ever anticipated. The fate of future human-Luminari relations, and perhaps the standing of humanity in the galactic community, now rested on their shoulders. Little did they know, the true test of humanity's worth was about to begin, and it would challenge everything they thought they knew about themselves and their place in the universe. The human factor. Unexpected skills. The quarters assigned to the human delegation was spacious and aesthetically pleasing, but Elena couldn't shake the feeling of being in a gilded cage. The smooth, pearlescent walls seemed to absorb sound, creating an eerie silence that set her nerves on edge. It had been 3 days since their arrival, and they had seen little of their Luminari hosts beyond the occasional servant delivering meals or messages. "Captain, I think I've made a breakthrough." Dr. Okafor's excited voice broke through Elena's brooding. The xenobiologist was hunched over a makeshift workstation, her dark eyes alight with discovery. Elena moved to join her, grateful for any positive development. "What have you found, Amelia?" "I've been analyzing the nutritional content of the food they've been providing us," Amelia explained, gesturing to her datapad. "At first, I thought they were simply accommodating our biology, but look at this." Elena peered at the complex graphs and chemical formulas, trying to make sense of the data. "I'm afraid you'll have to spell it out for me, Doctor." Amelia's fingers flew over the screen, highlighting specific sections. The meals are perfectly balanced, not just for nutrition, but also for cognitive enhancement. "They're literally feeding us brain food, Captain. But here's the kicker. The compounds they're using, they're not native to Terralux. They're synthesizing these specifically for us." Elena's brow furrowed. "But why? They've made it clear they think we're primitive. Why go to such lengths?" Before Amelia could respond, the door to their quarters slid open with a soft hiss. High Counselor Zarek glided in, flanked by 2 other Luminari. "Greetings, humans. The Council has reached a decision regarding your presence here." Elena straightened, adopting a diplomatic stance. "We appreciate your consideration, High Counselor. We're eager to begin fostering a relationship between our peoples." Zarek's silver eyes seemed to flicker with an emotion Elena couldn't quite place. "Indeed, the Council has determined that while your species shows potential, you are far too underdeveloped to engage in meaningful exchange. However, we are not without mercy. We propose to take your people under our guidance, to nurture and develop you until such time as you may be worthy of joining galactic society." The words hung in the air, their implications sinking in like a stone in water. Elena felt a chill run down her spine. "With all due respect, High Counselor, humanity is not in need of guardianship. We came here as equals, seeking friendship and mutual understanding." A ripple of what might have been amusement passed through the Luminari delegation. "Equals." Zarek's mental voice dripped with condescension. "Your kind has barely mastered spaceflight. Your societies are rife with conflict and inefficiency. No, Captain Reyes, we are not equals. But we are willing to help you become something more." Marcus Tanaka stepped forward, his hand instinctively moving towards the weapon he'd been forced to surrender upon arrival. "And if we refuse this generous offer," Zarek's gaze locked onto the security chief, "then you will be escorted back to your vessel and sent home. But know this, should you choose to leave, the Luminari will ensure that no other advanced civilization engages with humanity. You will be alone in the galaxy, left to your own primitive devices." The tension in the room was palpable. Elena's mind raced, searching for a diplomatic solution that wouldn't compromise Earth's autonomy. "High Counselor, surely there's room for compromise. We have much to offer." "You have nothing we need," Zarek interrupted. "Your technology is quaint at best, your culture's simplistic. However, we see potential in your genetic makeup. With proper guidance, your species could evolve into something useful." Dr. Okafor, who had been listening intently, suddenly spoke up. "Is that why you've been feeding us cognitive enhancers? You're already trying to change us." The Luminari seemed taken aback, their composed demeanor slipping for a moment. Zarek recovered quickly, but Elena caught a glimpse of something she hadn't seen before: surprise. "You detected the compounds?" Zarek asked, a note of genuine curiosity in their mental voice. Amelia nodded, her scientific excitement overriding her apprehension. "Not only detected, but I've begun to map their effects on human neurochemistry. Fascinating work, really. Though I must say, introducing foreign substances to another species without consent is ethically questionable at best." For the first time since their arrival, the Luminari seemed a loss for words. Elena seized the moment, her diplomatic instincts kicking in. "It seems we surprised you, High Counselor. Perhaps this demonstrates that there's more to humanity than you've given us credit for." Zarek studied the humans with renewed interest. "Perhaps," they conceded after a long moment. "Your adaptability is unexpected. The Council will need to reconsider its position." As the Luminari delegation withdrew, Elena felt a glimmer of hope. They had found a crack in the aliens' superiority complex, a way to demonstrate human potential. "Well done, Amelia," Elena said, clapping the scientist on the shoulder. "You may have just saved our mission." Amelia beamed, but her expression quickly turned serious. "Captain, if they're willing to tamper with our biology without consent, who knows what else they might be capable of? We need to be careful." Elena nodded grimly. "Agreed, but we've also gained an advantage. They've underestimated us, and that's something we can use." As the human team huddled together, discussing strategies and contingencies, a new sense of purpose filled the air. They were no longer just diplomats and scientists on a goodwill mission. They had become humanity's defenders, fighting for their species' right to stand as equals in a universe that seemed determined to dismiss them. Little did they know, their greatest challenges and opportunities to prove humanity's worth still lay ahead. Rising tensions and hidden agendas. The days following Dr. Okafor's revelation were filled with a tense mixture of diplomatic maneuvering and covert investigation. The Luminari, clearly rattled by the humans' unexpected perceptiveness, had become more guarded in their interactions. However, they had also granted the Earth delegation limited access to certain areas of the city, ostensibly as a gesture of goodwill. Captain Elena Reyes stood on a balcony overlooking the sprawling metropolis of Terralux, the alien sun casting long shadows across the crystalline spires. Lieutenant Jackson Chen approached, his usual easygoing demeanor replaced by a look of concern. "Captain, I finished my analysis of the city's power grid," he reported in a low voice. "There's something odd about the energy distribution." Elena raised an eyebrow. "Odd how?" Jackson pulled out a datapad, showing her a complex diagram. "See these fluctuations? They're too regular to be natural. I think the Luminari are siphoning off massive amounts of energy for something. Whatever it is, it's not part of the city's normal operations." Elena frowned, her mind racing with possibilities. "Good work, Jackson. Keep digging, but be discreet. We don't want to tip our hand just yet." As Jackson nodded and retreated, Dr. Amelia Okafor hurried onto the balcony, her dark eyes wide with excitement. "Captain, you need to see this," she said, thrusting another datapad into Elena's hands. Elena skimmed the information, her eyebrows rising higher with each line. "Are you certain about this, Doctor?" Amelia nodded emphatically. "Absolutely. I've cross-referenced the data multiple times. The Luminari aren't just advanced, they're artificial." The revelation hit Elena like a physical blow. "Artificial? You mean they're synthetic beings?" Amelia confirmed. "Incredibly sophisticated ones, but not organic life as we understand it. It explains their condescension towards us, their obsession with perfection. They see themselves as the pinnacle of evolution." Elena's mind whirled with the implications. But why the interest in our genetics? Why try to uplift us if they've moved beyond organic life? Before Amelia could respond, a commotion from inside their quarters drew their attention. They rushed inside to find Marcus Tanaka grappling with a Luminari intruder. The alien's form seemed to shimmer and shift, its limbs elongating unnaturally as it fought to break free. "Marcus," Elena shouted, reaching for a weapon that wasn't there. With a grunt of effort, Marcus managed to pin the Luminari to the ground. "Caught this one trying to access our comm systems," he growled. "Seems our hosts aren't as benevolent as they claim." The captured Luminari's eyes darted between the humans, its mental voice projecting a mixture of fear and defiance. "You don't understand. We're trying to save you." Elena stepped forward, her voice hard. "Save us? By spying on us? By trying to alter our biology without consent? Explain yourself now." The Luminari seemed to slump in defeat. "We are dying," it admitted. "Our synthetic forms are breaking down, and we cannot replicate ourselves. We need organic templates to create a new generation of Luminari." The revelation hung in the air, heavy with implications. Elena exchanged glances with her team, seeing her own shock mirrored in their faces. "So all this talk of uplifting us, of taking humanity under your wing, it was just a pretext to exploit us." Elena's voice was tight with controlled anger. The Luminari's mental voice was tinged with desperation. "You don't understand. We've achieved perfection, but at a cost. We cannot allow ourselves to simply fade away. Your species has potential, raw, unrefined, but potential nonetheless. With our guidance, you could become so much more." Marcus tightened his grip on the alien. "More like you mean? No thanks." Elena held up a hand, silencing further argument. Her mind raced, piecing together the puzzle. The energy anomalies Jackson had discovered, the Luminari's obsession with human genetics, their insistence on isolation from other galactic civilizations, it all pointed to a species desperately trying to ensure its own survival, no matter the cost. "Here's what's going to happen," Elena said, her voice carrying the full weight of her authority. "You're going to take us to your leaders. No more lies, no more manipulation. It's time for the Luminari to come clean, not just to us, but to the rest of the galaxy." The captured Luminari's form shimmered again, this time in what seemed to be resignation. "It is too late. The process has already begun." As if on cue, a low hum began to reverberate through the building. The floor trembled beneath their feet, and through the windows they could see streams of energy arcing between the city's spires, converging on a central tower. "Captain," Jackson's voice crackled over the comm, "whatever they're planning, it's happening now." Elena's jaw set in determination. "All right, people, this is it. We didn't come all this way to become raw material for a dying race's rebirth. It's time to show the Luminari and the galaxy what humanity is really capable of." As the team rushed to gather what equipment they could, Elena couldn't help but feel a mix of fear and exhilaration. They were about to face a technologically superior foe on alien terrain, with the fate of not just humanity, but potentially multiple species hanging in the balance. The true test of humanity's worth was about to begin, and Elena Reyes was determined to prove that humans were more than just potential to be harvested. They were a force to be reckoned with in their own right. A desperate gambit. The streets of Terralux had become a chaotic maze of pulsing energy and panicked Luminari citizens. Captain Elena Reyes led her team through the confusion, their captured Luminari reluctantly guiding them towards the central tower where the energy streams converged. "We need to shut down whatever device they're using," Elena shouted over the growing din. "Jackson, any ideas on how to disrupt their power grid?" The lieutenant's fingers flew over his datapad as he jogged alongside her. "If we can reach the main power distribution node, I might be able to overload the system. But Captain, the amount of energy they're channeling, it could cause a catastrophic reaction." Elena's face hardened. "We'll cross that bridge when we come to it. Right now, our priority is stopping the Luminari from harvesting our genetic material, and potentially that of other species." As they approached the base of the central tower, a group of Luminari security forces materialized before them, their forms shimmering with barely contained energy. "Halt, humans," The lead Luminari commanded. "You will be escorted to safety. The ascension cannot be stopped." Marcus Tanaka stepped forward, his muscular frame tense and ready for action. "We're not going anywhere except up that tower. Stand aside." The Luminari's silver eyes flashed dangerously. "You do not comprehend the importance of what is happening. Your limited organic minds cannot grasp the significance of our evolution." Dr. Amelia Okafor, who had been quietly analyzing data on her own device, suddenly spoke up. "Oh, we comprehend more than you think. You're not evolving, you're desperate. Your synthetic forms are failing, and you're looking for a quick fix at the expense of other sentient beings." The Luminari security forces seemed taken aback by her insight, their normally composed demeanor slipping. Elena seized the moment of uncertainty. "Listen to me," she addressed the Luminari, her voice carrying the weight of authority and compassion. "We understand your fear of extinction, but what you're doing is wrong. Let us help you find another way, one that doesn't involve sacrificing other species." For a moment, it seemed as though Elena's words had struck a chord. The lead Luminari's form wavered, its mental voice projecting uncertainty. But then a new presence made itself known. High Counselor Zarek appeared, floating above the group, their form now crackling with barely contained energy. "Enough of this foolishness. The humans have served their purpose in bringing fresh genetic material to our world. Now, they will become part of our glorious rebirth." With a gesture from Zarek, tendrils of energy lashed out towards the human team. Marcus reacted instantly, pushing Elena and Amelia out of the way, but was caught in the energy field himself. He cried out in pain as his body began to glow, the energy seeming to pull at his very essence. "Marcus," Elena shouted, reaching for her friend even as Jackson pulled her back. "Your compassion is your weakness," Zarek's mental voice boomed. "It is why your kind will never truly evolve. We will take what we need and remake your species into something greater." As Marcus fell to his knees, his body beginning to disintegrate under the assault, something snapped inside Elena. Years of diplomatic training fell away, replaced by a primal determination to protect her team, her species, and the principles she believed in. "Jackson," she said, her voice low and intense, "remember that theory you had about using the Luminari's own energy against them." The lieutenant's eyes widened. "Captain, it's completely untested. The risks are better than the alternative," Elena finished. She turned to Amelia. "Doctor, I need you to distract them. Use that big brain of yours to keep them talking." As Amelia stepped forward, launching into a complex scientific discourse that seemed to capture the Luminari's attention, Elena and Jackson worked furiously on their datapads, attempting to hack into the alien power grid. "Got it," Jackson exclaimed after several tense moments. "But Captain, if we do this, it could destabilize the entire city's power structure. We don't know what that will do to the Luminari." Elena looked at Marcus, still writhing in the energy field, then at the faces of her team, human faces, full of fear, but also determination and trust in her leadership. She made her decision. "Do it." Jackson activated the command sequence. For a moment, nothing seemed to happen. Then, with a sound like reality itself tearing apart, the energy streams converging on the central tower reversed direction. The Luminari, so connected to their technology, screamed in unison as the power they had tried to harness backfired. Zarek's form began to flicker and distort. "What have you done?" they cried, their mental voice filled with anguish and disbelief. Elena stood tall, facing the disintegrating High Counselor. "We've shown you that humanity is more than just genetic potential. We're innovative, adaptable, and above all, we stand together against those who would threaten us." As the energy backlash spread throughout the city, the human team rushed to Marcus's side. The security chief was weak but alive, the attack on him halted by the power disruption. "Nice trick," Marcus managed to say, a weak smile on his face. Elena helped him to his feet, supporting his weight. "Let's get out of here. I have a feeling things are about to get very complicated." As they made their way back to the horizon, the city of Terralux in chaos around them, Elena couldn't help but feel a mix of triumph and trepidation. They had saved themselves and potentially countless other species from the Luminari's desperate plan. But in doing so, they had also fundamentally altered the balance of power in this part of the galaxy. As the horizon lifted off from the crumbling landing pad, Elena looked out at the once magnificent alien city, now crackling with uncontrolled energy. She had come to Terralux, hoping to forge a peaceful alliance. Instead, she and her team had sparked a revolution and possibly a war. The true consequences of their actions and humanity's place in the greater galactic community remained to be seen. But one thing was certain: the human spirit, with its blend of compassion, ingenuity, and determination, had proven itself a force to be reckoned with. As the ship broke through Terralux's atmosphere, leaving the troubled world behind, Elena Reyes set her sights on the stars ahead, ready to face whatever challenges the universe had in store for humanity. Turning the tide, the horizon streaked through space, leaving the chaotic world of Terralux far behind. Inside the ship, Captain Elena Reyes and her team were still reeling from their narrow escape and the implications of their actions. Dr. Amelia Okafor worked feverishly at her station, analyzing the data they had managed to extract during their hasty departure. "Captain," she called out, her voice a mixture of excitement and concern, "you need to see this." Elena made her way over, her brow furrowed with worry. "What have you found, Doctor?" Amelia's fingers flew over the holographic display, bringing up a series of complex diagrams and charts. The Luminari's plan wasn't just about harvesting our genetic material. They were attempting to create a hybrid species, one that combined their synthetic advantages with organic adaptability. Jackson Chen, who had been tending to Marcus's injuries, joined them at the console. But why? They seemed pretty convinced of their own superiority. Desperation, Elena mused, her eyes scanning the data. They knew their synthetic forms were failing. This was their attempt at ensuring their legacy. Marcus, still weak but recovering, spoke up from his makeshift bed. "So what now, Captain? We can't exactly go back to Earth and pretend none of this happened." Elena's jaw set in determination. "No, we can't. And we won't. The galaxy needs to know what the Luminari were planning. There could be other species at risk." As if on cue, the ship's communications array lit up with an incoming transmission. Jackson's eyes widened as he checked the source. "Captain, it's not from Earth. The signal's coming from a nearby star system." Elena straightened her uniform, taking a deep breath. "Put it through." The main view screen flickered to life, revealing a being unlike anything the human crew had ever seen. It appeared to be a swirling mass of bioluminescent tentacles, with several eyes blinking in sequence. "Greetings, humans of Earth," the being's voice resonated through the ship's speakers, somehow conveying a sense of ancient wisdom. "I am Ambassador Zixlith of the Galactic Confederation. We have been monitoring your encounter with the Luminari with great interest." Elena stepped forward, her diplomatic training kicking in despite her surprise. "Ambassador, I am Captain Elena Reyes of the Earth ship Horizon. We were unaware of any galactic confederation." The ambassador's tentacles rippled in what might have been amusement. "The Luminari have long kept your species isolated, feeding you false information about the true nature of galactic society. But your actions on Terralux have changed things." Elena exchanged glances with her crew, seeing her own mix of hope and apprehension mirrored in their faces. "Change things how, exactly?" "You have done what many thought impossible," Zixlith explained. "You have disrupted the Luminari's stranglehold on this sector of the galaxy. Many species have suffered under their manipulations, believing themselves to be alone and vulnerable. Your bravery has given hope to countless civilizations." The implications of the ambassador's words began to sink in. Humanity wasn't alone in the universe, far from it, and their actions on Terralux had apparently upset a delicate balance of power. "Ambassador," Elena said carefully, "we're honored by your contact, but we're also aware that our actions may have destabilized an entire civilization. What happens now? Zixlith's eyes blinked in a mesmerizing sequence. Now, Captain Reyes, you and your crew have a choice to make. The Galactic Confederation would welcome humanity's participation in helping to rebuild and reshape this sector. Your unique perspective and the ingenuity you displayed on Terralux could be invaluable. Elena felt the weight of responsibility settling on her shoulders. This wasn't just about her crew anymore, or even about Earth. The decisions they made now could affect the fate of multiple species across the galaxy. Before we make any decisions, Elena said, her voice firm, we need more information. About the Confederation, about the true state of galactic politics, and about what our role would be. Zixlith's tentacles swirled in what seemed to be approval. A wise request, Captain. We would expect nothing less from a species that managed to outwit the Luminari. I propose a meeting, neutral ground, where we can discuss the future of not just humanity, but all the species affected by recent events. As Elena considered the offer, she felt a surge of pride in her team and in humanity as a whole. They had ventured into the unknown, faced unimaginable challenges, and emerged not just victorious, but with the potential to make a real difference on a galactic scale. Ambassador Zixlith, Elena said, standing tall, on behalf of my crew and my species, we accept your invitation. Send us the coordinates, and we'll be there. As the transmission ended and the crew burst into excited discussion, Elena took a moment to gaze out at the star-filled expanse beyond the viewscreen. They had set out to prove humanity's worth to the Luminari, but in the process, they had proven it to themselves and to the galaxy at large. The road ahead would be challenging, filled with diplomatic pitfalls and potential conflicts. But Elena Reyes knew that if humanity could face the trials of Terralux, they could face anything the universe threw at them. With renewed purpose, she turned back to her crew. All right, people, let's make history. As the Horizon changed course, heading towards their rendezvous with the Galactic Confederation, Elena couldn't help but feel a sense of excitement. Humanity was about to take its first true steps onto the galactic stage, and she had a feeling it was going to be one hell of a journey. A new understanding. The neutral space station where the Galactic Confederation had arranged the meeting was a marvel of engineering. A massive structure that seemed to float effortlessly at the intersection of several major trade routes. As the Horizon docked, Captain Elena Reyes and her crew stood at the airlock, a mix of anticipation and nervousness evident on their faces. Remember, Elena said, adjusting her uniform one last time, we're not just representing Earth anymore. We're here to advocate for all the species affected by the Luminari's actions. Dr. Amelia Okafor nodded, clutching her datapad tightly. I've prepared a comprehensive report on the Luminari's genetic harvesting plans. The Confederation needs to understand the full scope of what we were dealing with. As the airlock cycled open, they were greeted by a sight that took their breath away. The station's main concourse was filled with beings of every conceivable shape and size. Some floated in anti-gravity fields, others slithered along on multiple appendages, and still others seemed to phase in and out of visibility. Ambassador Zixlith's familiar tentacle form approached them, accompanied by a diverse group of alien representatives. Welcome, humans of Earth, the ambassador's voice resonated in their minds. You stand at the threshold of a new era for your species and for our galactic community. Elena stepped forward, her diplomatic training kicking in despite her awe. Thank you, Ambassador. We're honored to be here and eager to learn. As they were led to the conference chamber, Elena couldn't help but notice the mix of curiosity and wariness in the eyes, or equivalent sensory organs, of the other species they passed. Their actions on Terralux had clearly sent shockwaves through the galactic community. The conference chamber itself was a massive amphitheater, with representatives from dozens of species seated in concentric circles. As Elena and her team took their places, a hush fell over the assembly. A being that appeared to be made of pure energy floated to the center of the chamber. This emergency session of the Galactic Confederation is now in session, it announced, its voice somehow conveying authority without sound. We are here to address the recent events on Terralux and their implications for our collective future. Over the next several hours, Elena and her crew presented their experiences, backed up by the data they had gathered. Dr. Okafor's scientific analysis of the Luminari's genetic harvesting plans drew gasps and murmurs of shock from the assembled representatives. As they concluded their presentation, the energy being spoke again. The actions of the humans of Earth have exposed a grave threat to our galactic community. The Luminari's desperation and willingness to sacrifice other species for their own survival cannot be ignored. A reptilian creature with iridescent scales stood up. But neither can we ignore the potential danger posed by these humans. Their technology may be primitive, but they managed to destabilize an entire civilization. How do we know they won't pose a similar threat to the rest of us? Elena felt a surge of indignation, but before she could respond, Lieutenant Jackson Chen stepped forward. With all due respect, he said, his voice steady, we acted to protect ourselves and potentially countless other species from exploitation. We didn't come here looking for trouble. We came seeking friendship and understanding. Murmurs of agreement rippled through the chamber, and Elena felt a surge of pride in her crew. Ambassador Zixlit's tentacles rippled as they addressed the assembly. The humans have demonstrated not just ingenuity, but a strong moral compass. Their actions, while disruptive, were in defense of the principles we claim to uphold. I move that we formally invite humanity to join the Galactic Confederation as probationary members. The chamber erupted in a cacophony of voices and mental projections. Elena stood tall, facing the assembled representatives. We didn't come here seeking power or dominance, she said, her voice carrying across the chamber. We came seeking knowledge, friendship, and the chance to make a positive difference in the galaxy. If you'll have us, we pledge to work alongside all of you to build a better future for all sentient beings. As the debate raged on, Elena could see minds being changed, alliances being formed, the energy being called for a vote, and one by one, the representatives made their choices known. In the end, the decision was made. Humanity would be granted probationary membership in the Galactic Confederation, with the Horizon's crew serving as Earth's first official representatives. As the session adjourned and congratulations poured in from various species, Elena gathered her team around her. Well done, all of you, she said, her voice thick with emotion. We came out here to prove humanity's worth, and you've done that and more. Marcus Tanaka, now fully recovered, grinned. So, Captain, what's our next mission? Elena looked out at the diverse array of beings mingling in the chamber, then back at her crew, the best humanity had to offer. Our next mission is to learn to grow and to help shape a galaxy where all sentient beings can thrive together. As they left the chamber, ready to face the challenges and adventures that lay ahead, Elena Reyes couldn't help but feel a sense of profound optimism. They had faced the unknown, overcome seemingly insurmountable odds, and emerged not just victorious, but as part of something greater than themselves. Humanity had taken its first true steps into the galactic community, and thanks to the bravery, compassion, and ingenuity of the Horizon's crew, those steps were ones of hope, cooperation, and endless possibility. The stars stretched out before them, no longer distant and unreachable, but full of potential and promise. For Captain Elena Reyes and her crew, for humanity, and for the countless species of the Galactic Confederation, a new chapter was beginning, one they would write together.